Hello and welcome to the Anime Explorations podcast. My name is Alex.
I'm Tora.
I'm David.
And we are a monthly anime book club podcast where we watch an anime series or film, or films in this case, and talk about them. Before we get started with the main topic, though, usually we discuss a little bit of what we're watching and some news stories that have happened over the past month. So, David and Tora, what are you watching at the moment?
Continuing to watch Spy Family and Campfire Cooking in Another World.
My son and I are watching Digimon Beat Break, which is just fun. A little different than what previous Digimon shows, but, you know, enjoyable. He seems to like it, so that's the important thing.
Yeah. This is my first time I seriously watched Digimon. I caught bits and pieces of it back in the day, but this is the first time I'm kind of watching on the regular. And I think I picked a good one to come in for my on the regular Digimon anime. It has a nice, good tonal range to it, both in terms of comedy and a degree of cuteness with the behavior of some of the Digimon, but also with a level of gravitas, where it's shaping up the enemy of this first arc basically appears to the big boss, so to speak, is gentrification, which is a good thing to be putting in a kid's anime. I'm going to say, it's hey, gentrification sucks. It's bad. And you should look into how development and new developments work and or happen, and what happens to the people who are displaced and why those people have been chosen to be displaced, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I did not expect it to come out pro Yakuza. However, that was they never use the word Yakuza, but all the signs are there.
Yeah, it is an extremely Yakuza-coded character, complete with the drinking of the ceremony of drinking sake together.
Becoming as parent and child. It's
David watched this, he was like, oh no.
Otherwise,
the Yakuza bunny in oh gosh, I'm blanking on the name. Shangri-La Frontier.
Oh.
Yeah.
The difference is Shangri-La Frontier is not aimed at such a young crowd.
That's true.
Honestly, what it most reminded me of was was the Yakuza from Iron-Blooded Orphans. But once again, that's aimed at a much older audience.
I can't with that show.
Yeah. Iron-Blooded Orphans is the one I cannot go back. Is the one Gundam show I cannot go back and rewatch because. Not because it wasn't good. It was really, really good. But because it is the most nihilistic of the Gundams, I think.
Mm-hmm. And Tomino is in no way involved with it. I know.
So. Tomino I will give shit to for so many reasons. But he knows how to write a compelling narrative that the darkness comes naturally from the work, the world they're living in. And with Iron-Blooded Orphans, they were starting, the decision was made, okay, this is going to be an incredibly bleak, realistic look at why children would be piloting giant robots. And I salute it for, it took it all the way. It was okay, this is exactly who the people would be that we're doing this. It's just, it's not happy, and I like my escapist fiction to be less dark and nihilistic.
Yeah.
And it's not like Gundam hasn't explored child soldiers multiple times before, but yeah, there was no we to balance out the woo. It was very, very dark.
I agree that Tomino definitely has his issues as a writer. One of the podcasts I follow, Giant Robot FM, they are reading through the Gundam novels that Tomino wrote. And
Back in 79 or 80?
all of them, not just the original series ones, which are the ones we got here, but also the Zeta novels as well.
Okay, but the Zeta novels were written way later.
No, those were written during the airing of the series. They talk about this.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, like one of the things that repeatedly comes up in the show also is Tomino is a author who only reads nonfiction and does not read fiction, and it shows in the work to the point where I actually kind of had to stop listening to those episodes of the podcast, because it's like, yeah, this is a big chunk of this is dunking on the fact that Tomino's prose is kind of bad. Not kind of bad, objectively bad. Even in even accounting for translation, or like, because they're talking with the translators, and like, no, this is stuff from the source material. It's just Tomino doesn't read fiction, so he doesn't have anything to compare. He's not comparing off of other work and building off of.
You can have compellingly written nonfiction. Tomino's work that I've read of his novelizations is as a history. Like, this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. There's no, like, artistry to his work. And
Sounds like he'd be interesting to compare to Tolkien.
Honestly, it's not a bad comparison, but I think a more apt one would be an encyclopedia.
I mean, like, part of the things they brought up also is how, like, this comes up in the original Gundam series and novels, and with Zeta is Tomino's novels definitely have the problem of drop in the image here of the photoshopped police files title of the author's barely disguised fetish. Like, there's the bit with the pubic hair locket in the original Gundam novels.
I don't know if that was actually a thing he liked, or if that was just because apparently that was like a pilot thing.
I actually went
get verisimilitude in.
I was actually extensively I actually went and said, you know what, I'm just going to go down this rabbit hole to see if this is really a thing, because like, this is bugging me. And I went down the rabbit hole. I looked. It's not a thing.
Really?
It wasn't a thing in the 1940s. Not in, like, there's no documentation of this being a real thing. And other people looked into this too, who like read the novels, and I'm like, is this Tomino being weird, or is this a real thing? No, this is Tomino being weird and claiming it's really a thing.
All right, well.
See you.
Listen, we read and we don't judge.
I'm judging.
Out loud. We're judging the hell out of it inside.
I refuse to read it. I'm nothing but judgment. No.
That's fair. All right, yeah.
We can't get sidetracked on Gundam, or we'll be here all day.
This is true.
Yep. Unfortunately, there's gonna be some Gundam coming up a bit more. So Monthly New Type magazine, while the English version is no more, because that was kind of an ADV thing, still exists and still does its New Type Anime Awards on a slightly off schedule than what we have for like US awards. They don't do January to December. They're doing them a bit more lopsided. I think it's July through April, covering the summer 2024 season for this one, and to the spring of the following year. And so their awards are out. Results came out in the past month. And among some of the winners that turned out fairly well, G-Quux, not surprisingly, did great, with it placing second for best televised work and best theatrical work for the theatrical film, with Kazuya Tsurumaki winning for best direction and Yoji Inokido and Hideaki Anno winning for best scripts. Also winning for best mechanical design, which is not surprising, but considering that the series definitely took its own spin on your classic Gundam mobile suit design language.
Like, I obviously huge into the Gundam fandom, as anyone who has listened to our podcast will be able to attest. G-Quux is like always there's issues when, you know, the images of the mobile suits are released and we're like, oh, okay, you know, it'll look better in motion. G-Quux, everything looked so much better in motion as it was animated that it was amazing. Like, I genuinely loved the designs they used. Like, the influences from previous Gundams are there, but you can also see the influences pulled from a bunch of other different places, and I really liked them. I did not expect to before I went and saw the movie, but damn, no, this show really convinced me. Like, I really like these things.
Honestly, the overall design was cool because you had the very recognizable colony. You have very recognizable, like, construction mecha. You had the very recognizably as a Gundams. But they were... I think the word I want to use is updated. All of the design language felt updated. And I think they started this back in G-Witch, but I feel like Gundam has been, like, really bringing its art styles more in alignment with the present day while still referencing their classic works, which is not an easy needle to thread for some series, especially one with as much design language behind it as Gundam. So, like, the way they're updating the character designs, as well as the mecha designs, and even the environment design I felt was really good. Like, I think visually it was the most impressive Gundam I've seen.
Yeah. Particularly referring to that needle to thread, there's also the issue that, like, the fundamental thing with Gundam is you got to sell model kits. So it's not just we have to update the design language, but we have to update the design language in a way where you can then put out plastic model kits for people to put together. Yeah. If it's...
I will say, this one accomplished that so much better. I've watched a lot of Gundam with our son, but when we went to see the movie, one of the mobile suits showed up, and my son turns to me and is like, I want a model of that one.
You were so proud.
I was so proud because I was like, yeah, you know what? Me too. And it finally went up for sale earlier this week. The 01 Gundam.
He's very excited.
I'm so excited. I was like, yeah.
The Plebo fans are salivating.
Mm-hmm. All right. Just go over a few other winners that the things that fared well. Bocchi the Rock, the compilation films did very well.
Yay,
Yeah, Bocchi won for best theatrical work, like placed first, along with Bocchi herself winning for best female character, and the series winning for best soundtrack. I mean, yes,
yes.
A bunch of Kisoko Band songs have been ending up in my Apple Music rotation. I did see a couple people at KomuraCon wearing Kisoko Band t-shirts.
Yay! The history of anime bands that have become real phenomenons, and then if you look at that in terms of, like, K-pop Demon Hunters that came out in the summer, there's just, like, this really interesting history now of, I don't want to say fake bands, but bands that were made specifically for animation that have now become, like, so huge. It's awesome.
The thing is, it also goes the other way, is there's a lot of bands that, you know, things that series will get to be the, you know, music of the in-show band, and it catapults their, you know, stardom. Like, I think it was Hummingbird, which was the music for Firebomber and Macross 7.
I love Firebomber.
And they started playing their, like, and even, like, their lead singer for a ton of performances back in the 90s was dressed up as Neki Basara.
I love it.
And it's just, I love the music in the anime, and, you know, as White Box showed us, that music is often a big part from the very beginning.
I do like that about the, like, as messed up and weird as the anime production world is, I do like that music is always looped in from the start, usually. Members of the production committee and so forth.
Few other news stories. One more really positive one and a couple more ones. Good news. Project A-ko is getting a 4K release, and the collection is also coming with all the other various Project A-ko works outside of Project A-ko Verses, which is the rights for that are a little weird, on Blu-ray as well. So when they found the masters of original negative for Project A-ko, they remastered it in 4K in the hopes of getting a 4K release in the future. So I'm looking forward to picking this up when it comes out. On the less on the more ish notes, a couple ones. So I don't know how familiar you are with my anime list. It's like one of like the two big anime database, anime collection viewing tracker sites. The other big one I would say is AniList, which is the one I use. Just because like my anime list has had problems in the past with like big security breaches, and honestly their site has some design decisions which are in terms of how it handles ads. Well, my anime list just got banned in Russia on account of it having, quote, extremist LGBTQ content. Basically, by which it means it lists yaoi anime and manga and series with BL content and gay and lesbian relationships on it. So,
Boo.
Okay, but it's just a listing. It's acknowledging the existence of. I don't see how that's
like, I mean,
fuck censorship.
Yeah, like I like
all censorship is boo.
Yeah, the Russian like the Russian government stance on the existence of LGBTQ people, and this has been this for quite some time, but by quite some time, I mean basically ever since Putin has been in power, has been very opposed to the existence of LGBT people. Some of the client states within the Russian Federation, like Chechnya, under the direction of Putin's government, have engaged in actions attempting to wipe out or drive underground those countries' LGBTQ populations. This was one of those things where like the people, like, when I see people, not to get too much on a big political tangent for me, but when I see people going, well, but people trying to defend Russia because Russia used to be the Soviet Union and the Soviet Union was the opponent of our capitalist systems of government, I kind of have to give them the side eye because buddy, the current Russian government does not treat LGBTQ people well at all. What does that say about you?
Yeah. It's not good.
No.
And the fact that many conservative groups here in the States are also pushing this kind of agenda across not just sites on the internet, but across all of entertainment and media and journalism. It is horrible, and it makes me feel like as a society we are going backwards. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And the last. Yeah. Well, like, and the last one.
Politics, because it's life.
Yeah.
Like politics is everywhere, and all art is political. But it was definitely trying to keep, like, we do try with the political discussion to keep things at least anime media adjacent, but just because we don't want to wander too far off topic. But we have
this is an anime podcast.
Yeah, this is indeed an anime podcast, and like, but yeah, the other thing that's making life unpleasant is AI and NFTs. So there is a digital manga publisher called Azuki. It's one of the brand managers for it is Evan Minto of the Gamers podcast. I just learned about the service when it launched several years ago through listening to the Gamers podcast. They've had to change their name to Omoi. The reason they've had to change their name to Omoi, though they don't explicitly state this outright in their press materials, is because there's a AI and NFT company that started up recently, also called Azuki, with a whole bunch of venture capital and private equity money behind it, and it caused a significant degree of brand confusion, and so to avoid causing problems with their partners saying, no, we're not doing NFT stuff with this, we're not using it for AI stuff, had to change their name.
Probably cheaper than bringing the NFT people to court.
Yeah.
To just literally change everything. Like, they would definitely win that lawsuit, but it would take a while. And
it's a case of who has the money to throw at it. Yeah.
And how much will we lose in the meantime?
Yeah. Oof.
Indeed. So, NFTs and crypto and AI and tech bros, and for that matter, private equity finding new ways to wreck all kinds of heck in the anime space without even directly interacting with the subject matter, with the output of creators and artists. Indeed. So, let's talk about something more enjoyable. Specifically, our films for the week, or the month, Garden of Sinners films 4 and 5.
Hollow Shrine and Paradox Spiral.
It does make me smile.
Or Hollow
to think
Temple
about...
/ Paradox Paradigm, depending on where you're reading the name.
Indeed.
It does make me smile to think about Shiki stabbing you if you talk it too loudly in the theater.
or eating crunchy snacks.
Like, I think we should start with 4, because I think 5 is going to be
much talk.
The lion's load of the conversation, because 4 was kind of straightforward.
It filled in some gaps.
Chronologically, 4 is the second film in Shiki's life. It's when she wakes up from her coma after 2 years, and like there's a lot of like little visual things, little callbacks and such that are really interesting. But I don't know how much analysis we can actually put into this one.
I think the big analysis for Hollow Temple is less related to just a big plot recap and more it's interesting looking at this within the context of what we've seen of the Nasu-Verse so far, particularly Tsukihime, because this is definitely the point where like Shiki as prototype for other Shiki from Tsukihime definitely comes up here, because we have a similar instance of both characters having a near-death experience, being comatose for extended period, and then coming back from the other side, coming back from their coma with the mystic eyes of death perception, and having to deal with that, and ending up working with Amagus to get an understanding and try to control their new abilities.
Not just Amagus, aren't they sisters? The two,
yes, they are sisters.
Who the Shikis go to.
Yep.
Wait,
yeah, they are indeed sisters.
Toko Eozaki, the Magus from Garden of Sinners, is the sister of Aoko Eozaki, who was the one who taught Shiki from Tsukihime.
Gotcha.
And they both show up in Witch on the Holy Night. In fact, they are the main character. They are major characters in Witch on the Holy Night, which have not gotten a anime adaptation yet. I believe that is in production.
I came out of these two movies with different thoughts about Eozaki, because I honestly think that at the end of the day, like, almost every Magus in the Nasu-Verse is an amoral asshole. And I feel like Eozaki is originally presented very sympathetically because she's the one helping Shiki and Mikia out. But after watching these two movies, I kind of came out of it like, no, she's not really that different from the other Magi. Like, she would totally pull the same crap that Soren is pulling if she thought it would benefit her. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Like,
all these mages are very self-interested, self-focused.
I think the difference between Toko and the other magi we've seen in the Nasu-Verse is that she's living in the real world.
That's true.
Like, she's being part of it.
She's not in a big mansion somewhere.
She's not in the clock tower. She's, like, in Tokyo. She's just
in
working
a dingy
there.
little office. Yeah.
Like, I think personality-wise, she's, you know, as amoral as all the others. Because, like, I think with the probable exception of Waver, they all have extreme difficulties in forming interpersonal relationships. Or in creating them.
Just like Shiki.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I think she's a great character, and I think we could do so much analysis on the magi of the Nasu-Verse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? I almost feel like I understand her more than I understand Shiki. Like, we spend a lot of time in Hollow Shrine trying to figure out where Shiki's head is at, and while I kind of get it intellectually, I'm unable to, like, empathize with her. Because her situation is so wild. Like, she had another...
My murderous
she had another
co-personality.
being inside her, right? Which then perished. Presumably. But she gained a mythical power in exchange, which originally seems like a curse to her, and then she decides she's going to try and learn how to use it. But I mean, that's all like very... It's like fantasy hero stuff, but I'm not finding an anchor for my like emotional connection to her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, that's... I think a lot of that is because Shiki does not have that emotional anchor. Mm-hmm. Like, Mikia, there's like tentative connection there, but they're still very apart.
I feel like by the end of Paradox Paradigm, she has made strides, though.
Yes.
That lovely little scene where she blushes a little bit and she asks Mikia, like, why don't I have a key to your place? That's not fair. It's like she's asking for connection, reciprocal connection.
Yeah, I think...
So she does go on a journey emotionally.
Across these 7 films.
Across the films, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think in Hollow Shrine, she's just right so at the beginning of it that I'm like, okay, I see what's happening to you and it sucks and I'm sorry, but I'm not like vibing with you as a character. Does that make sense?
It does, and I think and I think that's why it's very important to watch these in the release order instead of the chronological order, because if you start off detached from Shiki, you're going to have a much harder time connecting with her as the stories go on. So by already by having the audience already have a connection with her, we can then see the detached version.
I think in the first several movies, she was more like a puzzle for me that I was trying to solve. Or like, okay, this is just the badass female character, like the Major from Ghost in the Shell. Like, you don't really start to connect with her until later, I don't think. Or I didn't. I can only speak for myself.
The thing is, like, there's difference. I mean, there's emotional connection, there's empathetic connection, and even puzzle connection. You're like, okay, I want to know how this is. That is itself a connection. Why is this
person like this? Yeah. So, Alex, how do you feel about Shiki? Like, do you vibe with her as a character?
I do. I do think that part of the thing with feeling her out this movie was also she's kind of also feeling herself out. Because there, as is mentioned by Toko in these movies, like there's a hole in her now that she's trying to figure out how to handle with and what should fill it. And with her kind of coming to the decision of what will fill, like, over the, particularly once we get towards the conclusion of Paradox Paradigm, with her basically going, well, what's going to fill this for me is a combination of my connection to Mikia and also, you know, murder.
Yeah, it seems like she settles on murder is the answer.
Oh.
Which, okay, girl.
Okay, but the thing is, like, even that does make sense.
She does not wantonly murder, so that's good.
Because, like, Shiki, you know, the personality she lost, Shiki all caps,
all caps, yeah,
was very murderous. So I feel like, by, finding this attachment to murder, she's trying to find that attachment to that other half of herself that she lost. Like, I don't think it's good by any means. I don't think, I miss my murderous half. I think I'll go murder in their name. No.
Do words like healthy even apply in this, like...
No!
No! It's not healthy, but what is healthy for Shiki? Who knows?
I think the healthiest thing Shiki could have undergone is never waking up from that coma.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, like, it's important to mention, at no point in these series do any of these characters actually speak with anyone with psychiatric training.
Okay, you're gonna need a counselor. Okay. Oh, thank God, there's a new counselor there. Oh, that's fantastic. That's the Magi. She is only there for herself. If she helps Shiki, that's entirely incidental to what Hayazaki is getting out of this.
Yeah.
Like, Hayazaki is, like, I don't know if she explicitly states it, but she's a Magi. She's only helping these people to help herself in some manner.
I understand why the Magi are interested in Shiki, right? Because it was theoretically a male and a female personality in the same body, and the series is obsessed with this yin-yang duality.
Duality.
I'm sorry. and that symbology that they think will lead them to the higher magic, right? So at this point in the hospital, when Aozaki's just breezing in and she's like, "Sup?" And Shiki's like, "What is going on, man? I just want to die." And Aozaki's just like, "Nah, don't do that." I mean, they were just in such completely different headspaces. It made that scene just unintentionally hilarious to me. Your mileage may vary on that.
Yeah. Also, like, these films are definitely much of the more get into the more visually out there elements, I would say, as well. The first couple movies did some interesting, like, visual framing of what we would consider in live action as cinematography elements to it, but otherwise, like, felt relatively visually grounded. Films 4 and 5 also, like, do some very interesting visual stuff to go with it as well. Like, there's the sort of dream coma sequence with Shiki in film 2, with her sort of experiencing, though she may not necessarily know it yet, the death of the Shiki all caps self, which feels like very 70s science fiction film Ken Russell kind of thing.
It was a bit psychedelic. Yeah.
And then we have with Paradox Paradigm, which might as well start moving into that now, we have stuff getting involved with manipulation of time and the order of events. Not necessarily doing what we called in film criticism hyperlink cinema, with stuff like with traffic in live action film, or another anime with Durara and Bakano, but in the sense of repeating the sort of chronological perspective on events through different perspectives, and then with what appears to be looping time as well. Or at first glance appears to... Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, Paradox Spiral, the direction was so good.
Yeah.
As the editing, the camera angles, they were so well chosen, and the transitions between scenes were so well done. I was like, dang. It was very good. Mm-hmm. And I love how they showed the passage of time, particularly with the repeated motif of the key in the lock opening the door and the ice cream cups building up in the sink. So
yeah. And Paradox Paradigm, to roughly summarize the plot, because this is convoluted enough that you're going to need to watch it a couple times, possibly.
And you have to, like, really pay attention. You can't be doing something else while you're watching it. You have to watch it. You're going to be so confused.
So Paradox Paradigm is based around a condominium complex, which has some supernatural stuff going on with it that Shiki and Toko end up getting brought into because due to the actions and involvement of the son of one of some of the tenants. And on top of, and this ties into a couple of people from the clock tower who Toko has worked with in the past and not parted with amicably, let's just say. And one of whom, who we Soren Arya, we saw in the stinger at the end of film 4, has also had a degree of involvement in some of the other events of the first 3 films.
And apparently he was the previous counselor at the place who his leaving is the reason Toko was able to get in.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, like he left right beforehand, so...
It's mage meddling all the way down.
Honestly, he might have just been there, working there, waiting for Shiki to wake up, and after 2 years, he's like, okay, she's not.
This guy's a terrible counselor, though, I would bet.
I mean, I don't know that, because, like, in 1 and 3, like, the people he dealt with who were very clearly suicidal when he got to them, found reasons to go on.
And become
through murder.
murderers.
I'm just saying, if someone, like...
Yes.
It's awful, but he got these people who were very self-destructive to just become destructive.
You're saying it's a step forward?
I'm saying it's a step forward. It's not a good step. It's a step in the absolute wrong direction, but it is taking them away from this place.
Oh my goodness.
I'll admit, rewatching this, it does give it an unintentional Blofeld Inspector, I am the author of all your pain kind of new vibe to Soren, so which can still work. It does kind of work here, but it makes things it puts a different spin on things with the character.
Yeah, like he's a magi. All the magi have reasons for doing everything they're doing. Why was he doing this? Is my question.
So Soren, apparently he had a formative experience where he was in a battlefield and he was struck by the futility of it and the meaninglessness of all of the death, right? And he decides that the best way to make it have meaning, to force meaning upon the meaningless death that keeps happening on the earth, is that these deaths be properly recorded. So this is kind of an interesting, like, ritualistic perspective that I don't think has too much analogy in Western Christianized faith, but I think it makes more sense in the context of Buddhism and Taoism. Because this whole concept of the Akashic Records is a Buddhist concept, and it's... Now, my understanding is very surface level, right? So please feel free to correct me. But my understanding is that the Akashic Records are kind of an opposite to and counterpoint to Nirvana. Whereas if Nirvana is the absence, the Akashic Records are records of everything that ever happened. It's kind of like the repository of all knowledge. Which you can see why mages would try and reach that, right? But it does it makes me a little bit confused about Soren's motivations, because if he wants to reach the Akashic Records in order to record all deaths to make them not meaningless, aren't they already recorded there if the Akashic Records are the repository of everything?
They are recorded there. but those deaths that there's no meaning if they're there. They need to be here.
But what I really... So this is getting into, like, the really esoteric and kind of heavy stuff. And I feel like the Nasu-Verse is a little bit egregious in that it throws out these really deep, heavy concepts without having proper meaning behind them a lot of the time. But in this film... excuse me, my throat's not great because of phlegm. But in this film, it actually makes a lot of sense to have Soren embody this kind of lofty philosophical view, because the main character of Tomoe is such a beautiful counterpoint, because everything in the narrative, in the plot, tells us that this kid is insignificant. I think Soren even says to him, like, your origin is nothing. You don't matter. But even though he was a mind in a puppet body, like, this kid's love for his family and then his transferred love to Shiki is what enables people to stop Soren's plot in the first place. So it's those little small everyday life connections that Soren is unable to see from his lofty perspective that actually give life meaning. And we see Shiki coming to interact with Tomoe more, and she kind of, I think, realizes this by the end too, which is why she finally asks Mikia for a key to his apartment. So I think in later works, like in a lot of the Fate stuff, especially the later Fate stuff, I kind of bounce off of these philosophical ideas and themes that they're trying to put in there because they're not grounded dramatically in the narrative. But in this film, they really are. So Soren is embodying this philosophical perspective of, in order for these things to matter, they have to matter to everyone. He looked at that battlefield of soldiers and he saw meaninglessness, but he didn't look down from a human perspective and see that each one of those dead people had people that they loved, people who would remember them, on a personal level. So I think, and the narrative is telling us that that's what's important in the end, is the small personal connections, not the grand lofty view. So unlike a lot of Nasu-Verse stuff, I feel like this one really kind of sticks the landing in terms of theme. Sorry, I've talked a lot, but that's why I had to sit with this movie for a long time before I came up with that, and I was like, okay, I actually really like that.
Yeah, no, I will say that I feel like this film is definitely the best of the ones that we've seen thus far. Haven't watched 6 and 7 yet. It could surprise me, but I think 5 has definitely, it like ticks every box. I don't know how well it would work as a standalone work without knowing who these characters are, but I do think it's definitely like the most cohesive and best thought out story.
When I first saw Tomoe, I was like, wait, that's
Shiro.
That's just Shiro. No, but he's actually a really, really good character and very well written. This is a kid who was told by his father at a young age, you have to help take care of the family. And he really internalized that. And he's taking care of his family even when everything goes to absolute shit. His family starts turning on him, as it is kind of devoured by outside forces that are then internalized. And then when everything is kind of catalyzed by the nightmare apartment building and his family completely falls apart into murder and suicide, he internalizes that, and he's like, well, it was my fault, which is absolutely untrue. And he spends a lot of his time with Shiki kind of grappling with that and running from it. And I really empathized with this character a lot, and I really cared about this character a lot. And it was really interesting to see his effect on Shiki, because I feel like Shiki was not a secondary character in this film, but she was the one reacting to rather than the one causing the action a lot of the time, except when she says, let's go to the apartment building, which is arguably the most important action in the film. But I thought their relationship was very interesting and very well done. And you had to wonder what would have changed if Mikia had been present, because he was out getting his driver's license, right?
Yep.
For a lot of the first act.
Well, at the same time, like the end of the film shows that a lot of those very negative interactions that, you know, are living in Tomoe's head, you know, they're driving him, were not like the actual truth. Like his family had, like, it was Soren corrupting the connections, once again showing that he does not understand interpersonal connection and the importance of it. And the fact that Tomoe's family did have a hard life, but they still really loved each other. They cared for each other. They, you know, his parents really worked to support him.
But yeah, bad things happened to them, and they couldn't handle it properly. And it's a familiar story, but it's well told. I think I feel like when you're watching the first part of the movie, when you see what happens when their family finally completely falls apart, it almost feels exploitative, but then you realize as you go through the film that it was necessary for the context.
But that's the thing. It is exploitative. It's being exploited by Soren. Like, that's the entire point. It is an exploitative event, and it's presented as such, and that was amazing.
But it's also important to everything that's going on in his head and what happens to inform his actions. And it's also a good mystery, because they make a point of showing us shortly after that first act someone who was murdered being alive. And so you're like, okay, what is going on? The whole concept of this apartment building I thought was fascinating, because it used design and engineering as well as magic to make it such a horrifying place. You know, it would have been easy to kind of hand wave and be like, oh yeah, it's his magic that's doing this. But they make a point of telling you
it was built for this.
It was designed mundanely to be this way. Like, there are engineering elements to it that make it this way. And it's like, wow, you put a lot of effort into your murder machine, buddy.
You know, it's like the architect from Ghostbusters who builds things that are just full of ghosts and draws them in.
Like, I do generally like in fiction the concept of the building that architecturally is meant to end up becoming a magnet and battery for the paranormal. In Ghostbusters, this comes up in one of the Rivers of London novels.
Malevolent architecture.
Yeah, and I want to say, the movie 13 Ghosts does this as well. So like it's a really fun concept. And I always love seeing it explored, and because it makes for really interesting opportunities for both drama and horror, especially when the place where that is this nexus for these paranormal forces is a place where people live, and that makes it especially effective in horror in those situations.
The design and the color choices for it were really good. That really off-putting red throughout the whole building, I was like, oh man, nothing good is gonna happen here. I was right.
And just like the wonderful juxtaposition of, you know, when horrific things are bloodless in this film and when they are incredibly bloody. Mm-hmm. It's just,
there's very a lot of good atmospheric dread, and then there's also some classic gore.
Yeah. And the fact that sometimes when there isn't any gore, you're like, oh, I guess it was... No, there's reasoning for that. There's explanations.
There's also really good existential dread. The moment when Tomoe finds his own brain in the basement, I was shook.
That poor Wooby.
I know. I was like, no.
It was like... It's one of those things where you know it's there, you know it's coming, you hope you're wrong,
yes.
You're desperately hoping you're wrong, and then you're right. No, and it's there. Like, it was, like, that discovery, I want to say, was the anti-surprise. Like, you
You were
know,
dreading it.
Yeah, you knew it was coming. You were praying it wasn't.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Also, the fight scenes were, or at least Shiki's fight scenes were completely awesome.
I think Toko's were too.
Yeah,
I think Mikia's were, as always, very...
Mikia. Oh my god. I thought he was dead when the guy was
you mean because he was slamming his head into the sky?
Oh, man.
That's anime protagonist resilience there.
Oh, man.
That's plot armor. That's it. That's plot armor.
Yeah, but yeah, like the fights and like honestly, like the stuff with Toko was particularly effective with her fights, both with her possibly getting killed in a like, how to put this. I had a moment with both the first time I watched this and this time where when Toko was presumably killed by Soren, where like, you know that episode of DS9 with the couple different Chief O'Briens?
Yes. Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, I had a moment with that of that there. Where
so we know that Toko makes puppets. Does she?
Yeah.
She also makes flesh and blood bodies, or
She
is
cast
she
a clone spell.
Okay.
Essentially, she made a puppet so perfect it was exactly her, and then she realized there doesn't need to be two of us. Because if this puppet is exactly the same as me, if it bleeds, if it thinks, if it shares my soul, then it's me. And why are there two me's?
So what you're saying is somebody finally thought about whether or not they should.
Yeah. And she decided no. And the thing is like from the discovery of that to the end, we don't know if it was the original Toko who died or if it was the puppet.
We have no idea.
Because they're exactly the same. And because they're exactly the same, it really doesn't matter.
That elevates her above so many other mages in my brain.
I know.
She was like, you know what? Maybe I should not.
I have reached the pinnacle of my art. Let's take a step to the left and see where that direction goes.
Maybe this is a bad idea. I loved her suitcases of eldritch horrors.
Oh, this one's a cat.
I love
This
the
one's
cat.
much worse.
It's like, I want a suitcase magic cat thing. Maybe not the other one.
But yet, the suitcase Eldritch Horror taking out Cornelius was also just chef's kiss. So, like, because over the course of this movie, you're like, yeah, this Cornelius is a textbook example of the worst of the excesses of mages that we've seen so far. And
he was
like
clearly designed to be like the worst, like so unlikable.
Like to the point where there's a chunk of me that's going, I'm surprised that in Fate Grand Order that instead that they didn't bring him back, have him be the turn out to be the antagonist or some form or another, because his character design is really close. I actually went and looked him up and I thought, is this the guy from like the prologue of Fate Grand Order? No, different guy.
Different guy for reasons, because by that point he would have been dead.
Yeah, true.
If events in the Fate Grand Order world followed the same ones.
Yeah, but with him getting like, grabbed and dragged into the suitcase, like, the only thing that made that better would be if the suitcase belched.
Yeah, that would be good.
Here's the thing. I think that would be great. I also think that kind of brief moment of humor would undo a lot of the atmosphere that this film is building.
There's a reason they didn't put it in.
That's true. Like
that happen in our heads.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the that third act, I feel like I was pretty locked in at that point. I was just like, what the
like everything coming together, the way they set up the katana and let that lead into Shiki's return in the elevator.
Does not necessarily make sense to me how she suddenly appeared, but...
Okay, well, Toko pretty much explicitly spelled that out, is that Soren, Arya, trapped her,
Yeah.
in the Akashic Records using Magecraft.
Some kind of alternate dimension, anyway.
Magecraft using it
exclusively with Magecraft, and her eyes destroy Magecraft.
Especially Bounded Fields, and Bounded Fields is Sora and Arya's whole deal. And one other thing that's really good at destroying Bounded Fields, she mentions, is that specific sword. She likes. I believe that.
Yeah, they kind of set that up when it was in the office, and Toko was like, "Do not take that out here."
Yeah, don't take it out of the case.
So much more.
Yeah, don't draw it. Don't even take it out of the case in this office.
Yeah, don't do all my work.
and then it goes into the apartment building outside, as fully assembled and outside of the case, and ends up in the elevator, where at the core of the building, which is how Shiki can get it, and just that moment where we're just seeing the elevator like moving back and forth, and then like opening and closing on that floor, and then just the one time that opens, there she is.
That elevator was used to great effect. In like throughout the whole movie, the camera angles in the elevator and the use of the elevator doors opening and closing on what looked like identical hallways, it was just beautifully done.
Yes.
Also, an example of the ways that this film is meant to show restraint. I feel confident, like in an American, like in a not just actually an American film, like a Western film, in that shot they would have like the lights in the elevator flickering, for that to attempt to amp up the ominousness of it. In this case, for how it'd be ominous for Sora and Arya, whereas the lights just stay. It's just the door open, the lights are normal, and just now Shiki's there, and Shiki's there and she's pissed off.
Even the basement of horrors is surprisingly well lit.
I mean, say what you will, the man had a very robust electrical system. Given all the things he needed to be keeping alive, that makes sense.
Goodness gracious.
You can't accuse Soren of, not paying his contractors.
Soren's design is good too. Very, like the way that his eyes are constantly in shadow. And his very kind of deep, ponderous voice. And then even when he turns into kind of like part of the building, like he kind of becomes like this cyborgian horror almost. But even then,
I'm not sure. I mean, like visually, yes, but I think it's more. I think it's very representative of the fact that this place is part of him.
Yeah.
He's kind of one of the two, I guess, described as Cronenbergian antagonists in terms of how they use body horror that we have in the Nasu-Verse. The other one, actually getting back to Tsukihime, is the first sort of antagonist in Tsukihime, the one with the beasts coming out of him. That's probably like the next closest we get to like a real body horror antagonist not in the sense of like with Zoken Mato and the worms, but in the sense of like things like merging with things growing out of him and into the environment in ways that are unpleasant to look at in that way.
And then crucially, Shiki blasts them both out of the building and into like nature, basically a more natural area where he finally meets his end, which I think is nice.
Didn't he leave trying to collapse it with her inside to escape? And she just followed him?
Yeah, they jumped off the building. That was cool too. That also reminded me of Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to say I liked this one. Not that I've disliked the previous ones.
I like films that are puzzles. I like when they mess with time and stuff. So I really enjoyed figuring out what was going on, and it's actually laid out fairly clearly in retrospect. But when you're watching it, you're like, what is happening?
You are like, what is happening, but at the same time, it's giving you hints. Like,
it gives you plenty of information.
like,
it just takes your brain a while to catch up.
Like, the people's arrival at the apartment building is presented out of order. But you can tell who's arriving when based on the number of cars outside, because they're all just parking in a line, one behind the other, in front of this building.
Because the parking garage is closed, since that's where the all the brains are.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember Toko showing up the second time, and I looked at David, and he looked at me. We were like, "Wait, sorry."
Did she have another car?
She have another car? I don't know.
No, that's the thing. There was that extra bike that she told Shiki not to take. That Shiki took.
Of course she did.
I was like, don't take that one. I haven't taken the sidecar off of it yet. Look!
She's like,
you got a reason for a sidecar. You're
perfect.
taking someone with it.
Perfect. I have a sidekick today.
Exactly. Like, there's so much that's like set out in the beginning.
It's clear that they plotted it all out.
Yeah.
And they made beautiful, intentional, dramatic choices about what to show and when.
Yeah.
It's so great to watch something with that level of care and attention to detail put into it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Also, the way they kind of sprinkled yin-yang symbology everywhere.
I do really wish that someday the novels for these get licensed, because I'm really interested of all of these. This is the one where I'm really interested to see how the plot plays out in the prose compared to how this played out in the film.
I was looking it up. I didn't read it. I did look at it, but in the novel, it does a lot more to explain. You know, why, like, how Shiki runs into Tomo, why Toko becomes interested in. It's explicitly the counterforce working against Arya.
Okay.
Also, I think the film is stronger for not having anything to mention with that. Like,
that's the thing. It's like, the film is very strong because it's the personal connections that, you know, Soren is ignoring that causes his downfall. Yeah. As opposed to, there's this big thing that he's working against that works against him.
It kind of undermines it, actually.
Yeah, I mean, they do hint at it. It comes up in some of the discussion scenes enough that you can kind of draw the reasonable conclusion when this comes up that, oh no, this is Shiki. This is the counterforce propelling Shiki in this direction, and perhaps indirectly, but there is that little extra thumb on the scale on Shiki's behalf. By the way, minor note, I just happened to because I was curious, so I looked this up. Shiki's Japanese voice actress is Maya Sakamoto, and she is also the voice for young Makoto Kusanagi in flashback scenes in the various Ghost in the Shell works. And also plays her in Ghost in the Shell Arise.
Okay, then.
Also, so many other roles.
Oh, yes. Like,
it's like one of the most prolific.
Yeah, but it's worth bringing that up. I figured it was worth bringing that up here. As we're making the comparison to the Major. We're not the only people who drew that connection from a casting standpoint.
The general like mood and tone and atmosphere I felt was kind of that Blade Runner cyberpunk, like not a direct reference, but that dark streets in the rain kind of vibes, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And then also like to bring up the Blade Runner comparison there, also with the way that some of the interiors, like particularly of like the Tyrell building and that sort of thing, have this very glamorous, but not historical, like art. I don't want to specifically like cite a particular architectural style like Art Deco, but nostalgic vibe to them. And that definitely plays up here for the interiors of the apartment building.
Yeah.
I really liked it because, like, all the shots of, our protagonists in the city, it felt alien to them. Like, it felt like the world itself was a stranger. And that's just...
It's a very cyberpunk thing, yeah. The civilization is alienating.
Now, any final thoughts on Hollow Shrine or Paradox Spiral?
Watch them.
Paradox Spiral is really, really
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I would. It's worth watching the entire series just for that one so far for me.
So I'm very much looking forward to next year when we will finish out the Garden of Sinners.
Yeah.
Yep.
And maybe find out where the title comes from.
Indeed. But next month, for our December movie, because since we're in the holiday season, we're kind of sticking with movies at the moment. I'd like to do some older films. We're going to be doing our first anthology film, 1987's Robot Carnival. This is available through streaming for pretty much everything. Crunchyroll, Roku Channel, Fandango at Home, Tubi, Retro Crush, whatever. It is available pretty much everywhere. Easy to get a hold of through those channels. There's also has physical releases on Blu-ray and 4K. But like this is easy to find. So I'm looking forward to this rewatch. Have either of you seen Robot Carnival before?
I have not,
No.
but I've heard it brought up in discussions of classic animated films, basically, and like apparently a lot of people worked on this who then went on to do really popular and famous things.
Indeed. This used to be on very heavy rotation for the Sci-Fi Channel during their anime blocks.
Oh, actually, I maybe I have seen it, and I just don't remember.
Possible.
I watched so much anime on the Sci-Fi Channel at 9 p.m. to 3 a.m.
You never
movie.
know what you're gonna catch.
Exactly.
All right, so that's something to look forward to for next month. And until then, if you enjoyed what you're listening to, please consider backing the Patreon at patreon.com/count0or. Patreon backers get access to the podcast episodes up to 1 week in advance, along with my video essays, let's plays, blog posts, regular reviews, all that sorts of fun stuff. And if doing the monthly subscription thing doesn't fit with your budget, which is fine, times are tight financially for a lot of people, I have a Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/count0. That also works as hell. Tossing some cash in the tip jar definitely helps. And also, of course, rate and review the podcast on your podcatching platform of choice. iTunes, what have you, helps us get discovered. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and comment. And until next month, thank you all very much for listening.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.